Hey everyone, it is me, it is the E&E Gamer here, and welcome back guys to another episode on the channel here, and today I felt like we should do something a bit different. Now, as all of you know, the newest 10th year anniversary chapter for Dead by Daylight is featuring one of the most anticipated license killers to be added to the game so far in the game's 10-year lifespan. That, of course, being Jason Voorhees himself, from the Jason Universe franchise. The reason why I say the Jason Universe franchise and not the Friday the 13th franchise is because this is the Nicotaro version of Jason that we have in-game, and not the OG version of Jason. But ever since Jason was added to Dead by Daylight, I felt like a big question could be asked, and one question many people would be asking: which Dead by Daylight killers could beat Jason, or which killers would lose to Jason? You know what I'm saying. It would be Jason versus the Dead by Daylight killer roster. Obviously, we have many names in here. We have many Dead by Daylight original characters that many people wonder how he would fare against. And then, of course, we have a bunch of other iconic horror characters that we have in here that some other people would like to see. Now, before I go any further into this video, I would like to introduce a special guest of mine, and he is returning to the channel after, what, how many episodes since it's been that I featured you in one of my YouTube videos, Sharplaugh?
I don't know, I think it's back in the 2K days.
Oh,
those
yeah.
Overpriced games.
He's joining me here today in ranking the Dead by Daylight killers versus Jason tier list here. Before we go over any of this, let's set a few rules. Number one, all the Dead by Daylight killers that we're going to be ranking off by, we're going off of their lore and not their you know, like their in-game state. We're going pre-Entity's realm, so that none of them are completely untouchable, or like, you know, because by base all of them are immortal in a sense, because if they die the entity can just revive them. So we're going to be giving them their pre-entity states of power to make sure that they aren't given any entity buffs or anything like that. And then secondly, this version of Jason, like I said before, is sort of like their take on Jason. It's not like the actual Jason that we see in Jason's universe or the OG franchise. So with that in mind, we're also going to be taking into account Jason's lore in game too, and what we know of him so far, of what we see of him. So, yeah, I think that covers all the ground rules.
Yeah, makes sense, makes sense.
So, let's go over the tiers really quick. The first tier, which we have, is Jason Stomps. That's pretty self-explanatory. Jason, like, stomps, meaning he destroys them gruesomely. It's just another day in the office for him. The second tier is a good fight, but Jason would win. These are for the killers that would give Jason a bit more of a tough time and a better fight, but would still lose nonetheless to Jason. 50-50 is it could go either way. There are debates on both sides whether Jason could beat them or that killer could beat Jason. It's pretty self-explanatory again. The next tier is it's close, but Jason would lose. Jason would put up a very good fight and would give the killer a run for its money, but would still lose. And then the final tier is Jason gets stomped. These are the killers that would be bringing Jason's head back like a trophy, kind of like how Pamela's head became like a shrine to Jason, except his head wouldn't be viewed as a shrine, it would just be a trophy for them.
Yeah, I like those tiers. I think they even out well. Anyways, I think we should get started now.
I feel like we should, so let's get into it. The Trapper is first up here. The Trapper, as we know of him, Evan McMillan, he is a worker at the McMillan estate. He is the son of, I believe his name is Georgie McMillan. No, Archie, my bad. I'm forgetting that, but the Trapper, as we know, he is a pretty strong guy. He is also he has some good endurance on him too, as we see in game. He has some hooks in his body. I don't know if that's the entity giving him buffs or anything. This could, the Trapper could go in either one of these tiers, but Since Jason, as we know in his lore, was able to take on the Unknown, which is an extraterrestrial being for all we know, we can definitely safe to say that Jason could also handle himself very well against humans. I mean, after all, he goes around killing them on a daily basis, and despite Evan being a big guy himself and also probably being very strong too, I don't think he is quite as strong as Jason.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like Trapper's just kind of like a downgrade of Jason in a way. I mean, Trapper was kind of inspired by Jason, but I just think, yeah, probably bottom tier Jason probably stomps him.
Yeah, he probably ends up stomping him. I mean, debates could say he could put up a good fight, but that would only be Evan's like in entity state, and like I stated before, we're not using that. Evan would be able to use his bear trap since that's not an entity power of his. Lucky for him, like that's gonna do him anything. But I would say Jason would take Evan down with relative ease. So we're gonna put him in Jason stomps.
I agree.
So the next one is the Wraith or Philip Ojimo. He is a very interesting killer. He was manipulated for a bunch of his life. His main power in the realm is being able to go invisible using this type of bell or gun that he uses, also using his main weapon. His weapon is obviously a very interesting choice, let's just say. But let's not forget in the Wraith's lore that Philip is also pretty strong even pre-Entity's realm. He was able to tear out his boss's head with his bare hands, which is pretty damn strong, if you would say that, Sharplath.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, pre-Entity, didn't he not have his bell? Like, you can't really go invisible pre-Entity, so I just feel like he stomped
because his invisibility power is again an entity gifted power, because he imbued, or the entity I should say, imbued the bell with powers to make the Wraith go invisible. So the Wraith unfortunately is not having that advantage, and since we don't have any other major like statements to say how durable or enduring the Wraith is outside of a realm, it's safe to assume he's just another human, but just really strong too. But Jason is beyond just a regular guy, so we're gonna put this in another Jason stomps tier.
Yeah, Wraith is kind of similar to the Trapper situation in a way.
Yeah. The Hillbilly is, of course, as you see, one of the only two killers in-game to wield a chainsaw, the other being Leatherface, which we'll get to later. The Hillbilly, as we know, he's also pretty enduring outside of the realm. He was able to resist the cops' attempts of taking him down. He was able to slaughter the whole department in his area, actually. He also is he's more smart than most people like to think of. He is a tinkerer. No pun intended, of course. But he has some good, you know, like machine, like he knows his workarounds around technology, I guess you could say, in a certain field. He's also apparently in his lore been able to hoist up whole cows with his bare hands, as shown on one of his maps where he slung cows up in a tree on ropes, which we could assume he used with his hands. Given that like cows usually weigh around 400 to 500 pounds, he's pretty strong, we're gonna say that. But is he as strong as Jason? I don't know. Again, strength wise, it's debatable who's stronger. Hillbilly, he gets his super speed from his chainsaw, which is again an entity gifted power. Not the chainsaw itself, but the whole power where he's able to supersonic dash across the map. And other than the fact that we know that Hillbilly has survived some stuff that most people would have succumbed to, I would have to say that the Hillbilly may be able to give Jason a better run for his money. But what do you think, Sharplath?
I do agree with that. I think Hillbilly kind of matches Jason, but I feel like Jason just has the more powerful upper hand on Billy. And I think Jason would outsmart him in some ways, even though we know Billy is smart.
Battle-wise, I feel like Jason battle-wise definitely can outsmart Hillbilly 100%.
Yeah, I agree. I would agree. I think good fight is good for him. I think.
That's fair enough. I mean, he does wield a chainsaw, so it'd be a bit harder for Jason to get near him, I guess, because he'd have to avoid the chainsaw. But even if Hillbilly does land a blow with the chainsaw, it really depends on how much damage is caused to Jason. It's, again, debatable, but Jason would win.
Yeah, the chainsaw is the only reason that he'd put up a good fight for me. I feel like.
Yeah.
That helps Matt a lot.
The nurse is interesting killer. She is one of the first killers. No, she is the first killer in game to have teleporting abilities. She also has some forms of telekinetic abilities too. However, all of which these abilities again come from the entity. And from what we've seen of her outside of in-game, she's just seen as just a regular girl. So with that in mind, even though she did manage to kill a whole bunch of mental patients when she was working at the asylum, I forget the name of it specifically, but other than that, she's just a regular girl outside of the realm. So yeah, she gets stomped very easily by Jason.
Yeah, she's probably the worst so far.
She's probably one of the weakest.
Unless Jason goes into a mental asylum, she's got no chance.
Yeah, even then, Jason probably still cleans. Michael, for those of you who have been sleeping under a rock for the past couple of decades, Michael Myers, better known as the Shape. Well, I mean, he's just better known as Michael Myers, but he's nicknamed the Shape. Michael Myers is, I guess, he's not really a deranged mental patient, but ever since he was a young boy, he's had this some kind of evil lurking within him. And he grows up and eventually escapes Smith Grove Asylum and heads back to Haddonfield to continue his murder spree, as per the 1978 film, which we will also be including in his lore because it's his movie from which he's taken from. Michael, as we see of him in that movie, he's a very stealthy guy. He is very capable of entering people's homes and being able to take them out very easily. From what we know of him, he's very, very patient with how he handles his victims. We also see that he's very strong. He was able to lift Bob Sims up with one hand and shove a knife through his chest, which pinned him up against the closet wall, which was very, very strong of Michael. Michael, furthermore, has also shown he could just punch through a door in Halloween 1978 too, which again also further goes to his strength, like how powerful he is. Many people say Michael Myers is supernatural, and in some ways that is true due to the fact how strong Michael is and how durable he is. At the end of the movie, he endures, I believe, how many bullet shots he takes. He takes one shot to the head and a couple more to the body before he falls over the balcony and falls to his apparent demise. But as we all know, Michael Myers just gets up from that and walks away, and somehow enters the entity's realm after that.
Yeah, but the thing is that we know Michael is very strong, but do we think Michael is as strong as Jason, though? I mean, we've seen Jason tank bullet shots before and, like, not even fall down, so.
Bullets, at the end of the day, are also Jason's breakfast, too. So, it's not, like, anything massive that Michael can survive that. Well, I mean, it is. It's definitely gonna help him. The thing is that who gets the jump on who first can really depend on how the fight will go out. But, ultimately, since we know Jason has more weapons and could be a lot more predictable, it could also go into his favor, too.
Yeah, I mean, me personally, I think this is 50-50, in my opinion.
I'd say like that's a fair decision right there. I'd go 50-50 for Michael because it's debatable on both sides. Since this is not undead Jason, we can't make the claim that he is completely immortal. Michael, as we know, he can be killed. However, it takes a whole lot to take him down. But it's very debatable. That's why I put it in 50-50. So yeah. For those of you who do not know who the hag is, Lisa Sherwood, who was born in a village, I'm pretty sure, she learned through hexes that she could utilize them to help improve her grades and give herself good luck. However, they also came at a cost, which also gave her bad luck, I guess, if used incorrectly. She's still just a regular human being who understood the curse, the curses of the hexes pretty well.
I think, you know, even with all the magic that the hag did, I think Jason just stomps her head off. Personally, I don't think the hag has a chance against him.
That is true.
I would put it in Jason stomps. I don't think I'd put it in put up a good fight. I think I'd put it in Jason stomps.
Because even if she tries cursing him, it may take some time for it to actually work on him. So, yeah, and like we've said before, she is just a regular girl, so it's not gonna do too much against Jason if she curses him. It may do something to affect Jason, but it wouldn't extremely improve her chances of winning the fight. And at the end of the day, I feel like it'd still be relatively easy for Jason. So yeah, we're going to hag gets stomped.
Yeah.
The Doctor, for those of you who do not know who he is, well, I mean, for what we know, he has graduated from universities before, in which eventually he was discovering into electroshock therapy. He eventually was hired by the CIA, I'm pretty sure, and eventually he was due to go to Larry's Memorial Hospital, yeah, where he was like assigned to go after prisoners, like not after prisoners, but he would torture them using electric shock and that type of stuff. Like, we're talking some brutal stuff he would do. And so yeah, Doctor is a pretty sadistic man who absolutely loves torturing people using electricity and stuff like that. However, as we see in the realm, he's able to legit utilize this electricity as a weapon, literally being able to summon it with its hands. However, as we learn, the entity also gifted that to the Doctor, so the Doctor wouldn't have that harnessed as a weapon, pretty much. I mean, Herman outside realm could still use it as a weapon, however, it would be a lot harder to use since he literally doesn't have it at his fingertips, so it would be harder for him to hit Jason with it, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, if Doctor can if Doctor can electrocute Jason, it would definitely help him a lot, but he would also be at risk of hurting himself with his own power, right?
That is true.
Yeah. If Doctor can use his power towards Jason, then I would say it's a good fight, but if he can't and there's risks to it, I think he's probably in the stomped.
We also know in the lore that somehow when agents went up to Larry's Memorial Hospital after not receiving word there, we learned that the Doctor's missing, but all the staff members and stuff in there were found dead. Did the Doctor do all that, or was that the entity's work? Maybe the entity didn't want to leave any witnesses. If the Doctor did all that, then I definitely feel like that could even potentially put him up into the 50-50 chance. However, since we can't know for certain if that was him or not, and since we don't really know how effective the electricity Doctor could use outside the realm is, I feel like I might put him in Jason's stomps, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, it's either that or good fight. I would maybe put him in good fight because we don't know his full potential, but it's up to you.
I feel like, actually, we'll go with the midway, honestly. Yeah, we'll put him in good fight because we also know that the Doctor's a big guy himself, too, just not with the many strength feats and stuff like that. He's very sadistic at the end of the day, but only that can get him so far. Now, the Huntress is a very interesting case. She's basically said to have been a folklore almost in Russian folklore. In, I guess, their real life in outside the entity's realm. Anna was this woman who lived in seclusion out in the woods and killed anyone who trespassed on her land, much like Jason. She operated. She uses hatchets. She's very stealthy and knows what she's doing. she's very strategic. She knows how to ambush soldiers as well. Armed soldiers she took down just by using hatchets, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, she's known for her archery. I mean, if Jason doesn't sneak up on her, I think she could definitely put up a good fight against him. She's got very good aim with her axes. She's fast, and I feel like she could definitely put up a fight against Jason and maybe even beat him. Maybe, but I think I'd just put her in good fight.
Good fight, but Jason wins. Yeah, at the end of the day, she's not quite as strong as Jason, who's literally been shown in game to being able to rip people in half, like in a sense, like rip out their insides, which is quite crazy on Jason's part. However, Anna would also put up a good fight with her hatchets and her aiming skills and stuff like that. Ultimately, though, Jason would probably end up beating her. Again, Jason has fought the unknown, so Jason does have that experience advantage on him of facing extraterrestrial beings. And since Anna, as we know, is still human, I still feel like Jason would win in the end.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Leatherface, this version of Leatherface isn't the 2022 Netflix version of Leatherface. If it was that version, I may say that he would beat Jason, because he has been shown in the 2022 version to survive shotgun blasts and bullets and still function really well. However, since this is the 1974 version of Leatherface, he is shown to be a lot more human and a normal killer. While he does have good strength and showing he is able to easily lift human beings up with his bare hands, he doesn't have the greatest durability at all. I mean, he got knocked out with a wrench flying at his head, and throwing a wrench at Jason's head, he'd probably get hit in the head. It may knock his head back a little bit, but then he'd just stare right back and be like, "Did you seriously just throw a wrench at my head?" Like, that's like the vibes I get from that.
Yeah, I just feel like in this situation, he feels like a worse version of Billy. So I would put him in Stomped.
Yeah, due to the fact Leatherface isn't quite at his prime, like in the Netflix 2022 movie, I'd say Leatherface gets killed pretty easily by Jason. Freddy Krueger, or the Nightmare, whatever you want to call him. This version,
he stomps Jason, bro. He stomps Jason. Let's be honest here. Like Jason needed kids to help him out. Like, it's just Freddy has shown that he can get into the mind of Jason and put him into the dream world. So I just feel like Freddy easily wins this matchup.
If we also take into account, I mean, again, this version of Freddy that we have is the 2010 remake, and the version of Jason that we have is the Nicotaro version, or Dead by Daylight's version, or whatever. Technically, I guess you could say Freddy and Jason haven't even met in this timeline, or canonly, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
But even that won't really help Jason too much, because this version of Freddy is a lot more dangerous than the OG. The original Freddy, he liked to fool around a lot, he liked to play with his food a whole lot. And don't get me wrong, Freddy does, in the 2010 remake, he sometimes plays with his food a little bit. However, he's a lot more serious, and when he puts someone to sleep like Jason, and Jason enters the dream world, and he isn't like other victims who are scared and normal like that, Freddy isn't just gonna sit back and still act like he's cocky and stuff. This version of Freddy's going to literally shred Jason to pieces as soon as he knows what's up.
I just can't see this Jason, or pretty much any Jason, beating this Freddy, honestly.
Let's give Jason the benefit of the doubt, though, and say he managed to figure out Freddy's weakness of being pulled out of the dream world and into the real world, where he isn't near limitless power version of Freddy and untouchable. Even if that happens and Jason managed to kill Freddy outside of the real world, as we see in the end of the 2010 remake, Freddy comes back regardless. So even if Jason managed to quote-unquote kill Freddy, it still wouldn't really help him out too much, and it would only be a little victory for Jason before he ultimately would die at the blades of Freddy Krueger.
Yeah, and like I said, Jason needed help to get out of the dream world, and I don't think Jason has the IQ to know how to get out of the dream world himself, so I just think it's definitely Freddy's 1v1 to win.
Now, Amanda, as we know, as we've seen in the films, she's very cunning when it comes to how she operates things. She's rigged many of John Kramer's traps to intentionally kill people and not give them a sliver of a chance to survive. That already makes Amanda a little bit dangerous. The real question is could Amanda get Jason in one of her traps? Probably not. We don't know, after all, how resistant Jason is against well-planning people. I know for a matter of fact, though, he was able to take on the unknown, and since Amanda is still a regular person with a hidden blade under her coat, I mean, it still isn't going to help her case too much if Jason was able to fight off the unknown. So it would be extremely tough for her to get Jason in one of her traps. Even if she did manage to do that, though, I still feel like Jason could still break out using his super strength, and she wouldn't really expect that out of Jason, because in her mind, she'd probably just view Jason as another human being. So ultimately, I feel like that if they fought one-on-one as is, maybe she could put up some offense, but again, since she is still a regular human, I would have to go with Jason stomps.
Yeah, I mean, you pretty much said what I was going to say. I mean, even if she got him in a trap, I mean, there's just no way that he doesn't break out of that, right? So,
yeah.
I think it's an easy win for Jason.
The clown is an interesting killer. He is very smart, too. He not just being physically imposing, he is a big fat guy who was a really good athlete when he was younger. He's also very smart in the fact he was able to make his own concoctions, which can intoxicate people to be slower and reduces their reaction time and stuff like that. While also he created his own tonics to make himself faster and stuff like that. The clown is also shown to be resistant to his own toxins too, so that just goes to show that the clown can be a resistant big fellow. Despite all this,
we've seen Jason being intoxicated before, though. So like that's the question, though, right? Can the clown intoxicate Jason to the point where he could beat him, right?
It depends. It really depends. I feel like the clown could come up with maybe a toxin or something that could knock Jason out. However, at the end of the day, even if that happened and the clown managed to subdue Jason, that doesn't mean that he's gonna kill Jason. The clown has been shown to be very sloppy in his lure, and he even let one victim escape at one point, and a man nearly escaped from the clown too, and nearly overpowered the clown. So with that in mind, I feel like that initially I do feel like the clown could get the advantage. However, in the end, I could only see it ending with Jason punching a hole through Clown and ripping his heart out or something like that, just like how he did with the unknown in his lore.
Yeah, I see what you're saying with like how Clown is very sloppy, but I feel like Clown is a lot more smarter than Jason, so I feel like that there would definitely be a fight there, you know what I mean? Yeah. So I feel it's definitely a good fight, but Jason still wins.
Okay. I agree with you on that one. The Spirit is a very good case in which, inside the entity's realm, I definitely feel like she could pose a big threat to to Jason. However, again, this is outside of the entity's realm and before she became, you know, a spirit. So she's just a regular girl as shown outside of her lore. And other than just showing a few combat skills to fend off some bullies, she doesn't really show anything else really. She may try and do something against Jason if he tried attacking her, like maybe she whips out a kendo stick or something and starts beating him with it, but Jason would probably just stand there as she tries hitting him and just not reacting at all to it and wonder what this girl is trying to do against him, and then he'd just ultimately kill her just like that. It's pretty plain and simple. Much like the nurse, the spirit has many powers inside of the entity's realm that would make it so that she could definitely kill Jason inside the entity's realm. But since she doesn't have those perks at her disposal, she would lose.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree with that. But let's just get the Legion out of the way. Let's just
I mean,
just put that in stop, please.
Yeah.
Don't even have to talk about it.
Even if the Legion, all 4 of them jumped Jason, it would still just be another day in the office for Jason, because he handles counselors before who try fighting back against him. So what's 4 rowdy teenagers with knives gonna do against him? Jason would simply pick him off easily, and then Frank, who would be the last one, would try fending him back before Jason grabs him by the throat, lifts him out, and debowels him completely. The plague is definitely, I wouldn't say, as we know, Jason would end up probably killing the plague. However, could she use her virus that she has to affect Jason? Maybe. We don't know how resistant it or like damaging it would do against Jason. Again, Jason has fought the unknown before and was able to fend him off, so Jason is quite resistant. And Adiris, as shown in her lore, was already in a pretty bad state while she had the sickness. So, and since we don't really see her using too many combat skills or having any sort of main nature of fights in her lore, we can't really say that she's strong either. She's a tall, petite woman, we'll just say, with a sickness, and she may not even be able to transfer it over to Jason, but Jason would have to be careful. But at the end of the day, Jason, if he sees Adiris trying to get him sick or something, or maybe trying to use her virus somehow, Jason still has better range than her, so he could probably just throw a spear at Adiris and headshot her, and it would kill her.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think the plague has much of a chance outside of the entity. Maybe if she was in the realm, she would have a little bit of chance, but outside of it, no.
Ghostface is in Dead by Daylight's version of events. Danny Johnson is a lot more strategic and smart than Billy and Stu are in the OG Scream movies. Danny Johnson, he's meticulous, he's very cunning, he knows when to go after people and when to lie low. He's very stealthy and plans things out well, and I do feel like that initially Danny could get the jump on Jason, but even all of this planning and Danny getting a good jump on Jason, perhaps, I still don't think it's going to save him, because again, Danny Johnson is still a human being and can die easily, and he still just uses a combat knife. So I feel like that Danny Johnson may initially get the jump on Jason, but Jason in the end would just simply reverse the attack and kill Danny without too much difficulty at all.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree.
It's the real question, would he be a good fight, or could...
No, stopped in my opinion.
Okay, I would put it in good fight. However, again, we don't really know how well Danny is in hand-to-hand combat. He may do some damage, but would it be a good fight? No, considering the fact that Jason is so much stronger than Danny is, he could probably just overwhelm him.
You know, I'm pretty sure this is like earlier seasons Demogorgon. And
yeah.
He is a lot more powerful than he is in his in the later seasons of Stranger Things, right? I feel like Demogorgon would definitely put up a good fight against Jason. Because, well, he's a monster, but I still think that Jason would end up winning, so I would definitely put the Demogorgon in.
Since this version of Demogorgon is from the earlier seasons and not the season 4 Demogorgon prison scene version that we see of him in the series, if it was that version of the Demogorgon, I would say that Jason would lose because of how quick the Demogorgon is and how much longer its limbs are. In my opinion, though, I would actually say it could be a 50-50. Since Jason likes to go in head first into attacks and would try and go after the Demogorgon and wouldn't show any fear, he could get caught out and potentially die for it. However, again, like I said, Jason's strength is also very overwhelming at times too. So it really depends, honestly, on how you view it. In my opinion, I would have to put the Demogorgon in 50-50.
Yeah, I could definitely see that, because I think Jason struggles against faster,
more
people,
agile opponents.
So, yeah, more agile, so I think you could definitely put him in 50-50.
Now the Oni... The Oni is...
I think the Oni's like 50-50, because the Oni's like... He's big, man. I don't know.
I would say...
I feel like the Oni could definitely beat Jason.
Here's the thing. The Oni in his lore outside of the Entities realm was basically stated he could take down whole brigades of soldiers and samurai. He's a very gifted samurai himself, and a big giant at that. He's easily bigger than Jason, and potentially stronger. Actually, no, I would say he's stronger than Jason. The Oni also wields this massive club, as we know, to kill survivors with by clobbering them with them. The Oni has faced a lot of things, but could Jason kill him? I would have to say probably not, because the Oni, like I said before, he's very capable, and since the Oni has endured a lot in his lore before he would end up succumbing to his wounds if it weren't for the entity, I would feel like that the Oni could beat Jason. It would be a very close fight, but in my opinion, I feel like the Oni would eventually rise up and kill Jason. Again, this isn't like undead Jason that we have in game where he can easily just knock off people's heads with one punch.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't even see how Jason would put up a fight, because I feel like the Oni has a counter for everything, because, well, we know his lore and he's a great samurai. I mean, I feel like Oni would counter everything Jason has, you know what I mean?
I do think, though, that Jason could get some good hits in. However, it's like, again, Jason is one guy, and despite Jason being very enduring himself and strong, I don't feel like it's enough to topple Oni.
Yeah, I mean, we can put him in good fight, but Jason still loses. But yeah, I could definitely see him in Stomp too.
Deathslinger.
stopping Jason.
So Deathslinger is up next. He is the only killer in-game to wield a gun as his weapon, albeit it is a harpoon gun. So he is a gifted engineer and bounty hunter. He knows how to go after people and track his victims down. Again, his main weapon is a harpoon gun, which he fires at people and reels them in to catch them. However, if Deathslinger, in my opinion, tries shooting Jason and reels him in, he would just be reeling in his own fate. Again, Caleb isn't shown to have any good strength feats at all. I know that Caleb was able to survive getting shot in the jaw. However, that isn't really enough to survive Jason, who was again able to fight off the unknown, again, an extraterrestrial being that Caleb would also, in my opinion, struggle to kill. And if he could struggle to kill the unknown, if at all, I feel like Caleb wouldn't really stand too much of a chance against Jason. He may try and do something against Jason, but again, Caleb with his bad knee as well would also just hinder his mobility.
Yeah, I mean, I think Jason would just knock his jaw completely off.
He would probably just rip his jaw off like how he does in Friday the 13th, the game.
Yeah, not much of a fight, I don't think.
Yeah. Caleb, in his prime, it may have been a good fight, potentially, if you were able to make enough debates on it, but in the end, Caleb's still a human being, so Jason would stomp.
So I think Silent Hill or Pyramid Head. I think he would just stop Jason. I think he would stop Jason. Pyramid Head.
For those of you who do not know who Pyramid Head is, Pyramid Head, technically, as you could say, isn't even a real being. It's a manifestation of one's guilt and grief. Does Jason feel any of that? Probably not. However, for this debate, we're going to make the case that somehow the Pyramid Head manifests to Jason. So what is Jason gonna do? Probably not much. Considering how Pyramid Head just casually shrugs off shotgun blasts and pistol shots, and is immortal since it's a concept rather than it being an actual being, there's nothing Jason can actually do to kill Pyramid Head. And considering how strong Pyramid Head is, he was able to casually lift up people like James Sunderland and also break through like doors and stuff like that, and also his great sword, his long sword that he wields, also gives him a bigger reach with his weapon. Even if Jason got the jump on Pyramid Head somehow and tried fighting him, Pyramid Head is just an unmovable being that Jason, no matter how hard he tried, he would not kill Pyramid Head at all. So it really goes, but could Jason try and outlast it? Maybe, but it's probably not going to happen. Again, considering how Pyramid Head is an immortal concept, I don't feel like Jason could do too much. I feel like Jason would get stomped.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Yeah. The Blight, you see, the thing about the Blight is that we know that he was able to fight the Nemesis and put or he injected him with the, what is it called? What is it called?
It's the blighted serum that he injects himself with.
And he injected the Nemesis with that. So do you think that he could use his injections against Jason?
I do feel like he could, but even if Talbot managed to inject Jason with the blighted serum, I honestly think it would only make Jason more dangerous.
Yeah, I could definitely agree with that, yeah. I mean, we've seen other killers, they seem pretty fine with the serum injected into them, so.
Considering again how this is pre-Entity's realm and the Blight isn't really utilizing the blighted serum as a weapon to hurt people, in his lore he was mainly traveling different realms and stuff using those chemicals. So he doesn't really know too much about combat and stuff. He is a smart guy. However, I don't feel like the Blight, like, he may try and put up a good fight, but I just don't know. I don't really see it being a good fight.
I think I think you can definitely put him in good fight, because I feel like if he got the first blow in, I feel like he would last a little bit, but I feel like Jason would come out in the end.
Yeah. I mean, actually, I would say that, yeah. If he was able to inject the Nemesis Pyramid Head, of all people, and Springtrap too, then he can most certainly try and injecting Jason with it, and probably getting away with it. Again, like I said, though, it'd only probably make Jason more pissed off and more dangerous. But yeah, I feel like he could put up a good fight against Jason, but ultimately Jason would end the fight by curb stomping Talbot's head in.
Yeah, poor Victor. He's getting his head stomped in.
Oh no, the twins. The twins are pretty self-explanatory. Charlotte is the main big twin with her conjoined brother Victor. Victor is not doing anything to Jason. If he pounced on Jason, Jason would simply just rip Victor off with one hand and just crush Victor's head in with one hand, probably.
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely in Jason stomps.
If Charlotte tried going up against Jason, it probably would end the same way. Again, Charlotte doesn't really show too much combat skills. I mean, she does fend off a couple people that try hurting her and Victor, but again, she doesn't show too many great strength feats. I don't really see her lasting at all against Jason.
Yeah, I agree.
The Trickster also would end up probably getting stomped too, due to the fact, again, Trickster is sloppy. He's not too well in, like, he knows how to kill people, but he's very sloppy, much like Clown. Also, the Trickster, like a bunch of other killers like the Legion, he is still just a regular ass man. His knives he could try and use against Jason. However, considering how many throwing knives it takes just to injure a mere survivor in-game, I could see that it wouldn't really do too much against Jason. And since Jason, again, has fought off the unknown, I don't feel like the knives would affect Jason a terrible amount.
Yeah, I mean, and Jason's not losing to no pop star, so...
Yeah. Jason would end up catching Trickster off guard, ripping the bat away from his grip, before ultimately killing him.
Pre-entity Nemesis? I mean, I feel like you got to give the edge to the Nemesis. I feel like it'd be a great fight between Jason and him, but I feel like Nemesis would come out with the win in the end, because he has a full rocket launcher on his shoulder, and he's
feel like
big as hell.
Honestly, I feel like Nemesis would eat Jason alive, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like, here's the thing. Before the realm, much like how Freddy was, Nemesis was nerfed a lot. He doesn't have any of his weapons that he uses in Resident Evil 3. He also doesn't have that same agility. He's also smaller in-game. So yeah. Nemesis pre-realm was a fucking tank. He could walk through fire. He could survive RPG blows, missile shots, rocket launchers, gunshots, you name it. All while further mutating. I don't see Jason living against that at all. I don't think Jason has a railgun like Jill did.
Yeah, I would say Nemesis probably stomps Jason, yeah.
He, in my opinion, I feel like Nemesis could just choke slam Jason and then just squish his head in like how he does to the survivors, honestly.
Hellraiser that is
Pinhead.
up next. I mean, it depends. Like, if Jason got the first punch, maybe, but I mean, Pinhead's almost the devil himself, so I can't see Jason putting up a fight.
Pinhead is a literal demon from hell who serves a godlike being Leviathan, and Pinhead, who's also a godlike being himself, much on par with how Freddy is. Pinhead can warp reality, he has chains, he has a whole bunch of crazy stuff going on. And considering that Pinhead is also immortal too, and Jason doesn't really have the means necessarily to kill Pinhead, I feel like Jason couldn't really do too much. I could see that if Jason opens the Lament configuration box by accident, Pinhead would just summon up a bunch of chains and bind Jason up before ultimately sending Jason to hell.
Yeah, and we've seen Jason get dragged to hell before in some of his movies too, right? So
yeah, in Part 9, he was literally sent back to hell by human beings. So what do you think's gonna happen with Pinhead?
Yeah, I would definitely say Jason gets unbelievably stomped. The artist? I mean, the artist, I don't really know. The artist would probably just get stomped by Jason, in my opinion.
Before she came to Realm, she had no powers and stuff. She was an artist. She was a regular girl and doesn't really have any feats at all. But it's when she comes to the Realm is when she gets all her ink powers and stuff. So yeah, this is just another simple case of Jason going into the office and coming back with her head.
Yeah.
Sadako is up next, and honestly, I feel like many people underrate Sadako. She is an undead entity of sorts who has manifested her curse inside of a VHS tape, in which when people view it after 7 days, they are killed instantly by her. She has good mind control. Before, even in the movie too, when she was human, she could still kill people just by using her mind. She also has telekinesis too.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of struggling. Like, would she be in 50-50, or do you think it would be like Jason would put up a good fighter and he would still lose?
Here's the thing: if Jason views the tape, he's not gonna figure out how to stop it. He's gonna get stomped instantly by her. However, if it's just a one-on-one fight, I don't know, because again, she can just manifest and demanifest herself on command. So Jason could not even really harm her.
I did forget about actually, you put her in Stomp. Yep, yeah, I think that's
I'll put her in third behind Freddy and Pinhead.
The Dredge is very interesting. I think, I definitely think that the Dredge could definitely beat Jason.
Yeah.
With his lore.
Yeah, in his lore, the Dredge is more like, he's just a massive mist, of course, with the main bone structure and stuff. However, unlike in the Entities realm, the Dredge has a lot more freedom and accessibility. It could just easily consume Jason and he would already win the fight. And since we don't really know that many weaknesses, if at all, to Dredge, I don't really see, Jason having the means to kill something like Dredge. So I feel like this is another case where Jason would get stomped.
Yeah, I mean, we see it in Dredge's Mori. He just consumes the survivors, so I don't see why he couldn't do that to Jason out of the realm. So
yeah.
I'll kill you quickly. You will not live to see the dawn.
Wesker, I would say, I don't...
stomped.
Like,
He
would
would
say
stomp Jason so bad.
Yeah, because Wesker just simply like outside, like if it was in realm, Jason may stand more of a chance, but since this is pre-realm, in that we see in Resident Evil 5, Wesker moves so fast he's basically teleporting. And so with that in mind, and all the better combat skills and how slow Jason is, Wesker could simply just speed blitz him and then punch a hole through Jason's chest.
I mean, there's not really anything that Jason is better than. Maybe no, not even strength. Like Wesker has the better IQ, the better strength, the better speed. I just think it's such a one-sided fight.
Despite Jason being able to fight off the unknown, an extraterrestrial being, like I keep saying, I mean, Wesker has literally survived being in lava for like a good half minute, and also held back a rocket launcher with his bare hands. So I definitely see Wesker getting better strength and durability over Jason. Like legit, any category that Jason has, Wesker just does better pretty much.
And the IQ is just like Wesker just has the better IQ. It would just be so easy for him, I feel like.
In the end, actually, I actually think that Wesker would be a bit fascinated by Jason and Jason's ability to regenerate or being so enduring. I actually feel like Wesker would take Jason back captive and study him.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Yeah.
But in the end, Jason would just get absolutely slammed. The Knight is a very interesting case, and I don't know, because many people say, from what I've heard, the Knight is an undead being before coming to the realm, or something like that. Like, it's debatable. He is a very good, knight. He has faced countless armies and killed many people, and is very good in combat-wise.
Yeah, I mean, I would put him in 50-50. Me personally, I would put it in 50-50. I'd put him in there.
I mean, if he also gets help too, then Jason also has to deal with, the Knight's guards and boys too. So that could also help Knight further. I definitely feel like Jason could handle the big guy though. I forget his name exactly, but he could handle the guards, but by that point, I feel like he would be worn out by the battle to a certain point in which Knight could capitalize and ultimately decapitate Jason or something. The Knight is no pushover, and they've faced many armies before, so I definitely feel like they can handle Jason. But again, due to the unpredictability of Jason and how strong Jason is himself, and how enduring he is, I feel like it would warrant a 50-50.
Yeah, you could put him in. Jason would put up a good fight but still lose, but I think 50-50 is fair. School Merchant stopped.
I honestly say it would actually be a good fight, but Jason would win, mainly due to the fact how she utilizes her technology a lot and can kill many CEOs, albeit they are unarmed, but I definitely feel like that she could try prepping for this. I mean, Jason would still win, but I definitely do feel like she could attempt something, and honestly, I feel like it could potentially be a good fight. I do also agree it could be a stomp though, but it really depends.
Yeah, but in your situation, like you're saying, like if she's like obviously because she has good IQ, if she expects it, then it's gonna be a lot better fight. But if it's out of the random, I mean, Jason just clobbers her.
Alright.
So
I guess we'll just put stomp then. But again, it really depends on who gets the jump on who.
Rate, and it won't stop until we are dead. Or worse.
Before the realm, Singularity was like a AI robot gone off the hinges after realizing, or I guess trying to figure out freedom, I guess. Like, it was trying to make humanity into its own divine image, like trying to be like God almost, and trying to help humanity by killing all of humanity and using its DNA to recreate perfect clones or whatever. The Singularity has also shown to be very damn strong itself too, and smart. Is it strong enough than Jason? Probably, but I don't know really. Again, Singularity, it doesn't really show, like, I know again it shows some good strength feats, and it's stated to be 10 times stronger than a normal human, but Jason at the end of the day is by far anything but a normal human being. So, but I do feel like Jason would lose the fight due to the fact that Hux is smarter than Jason and a lot more, I guess, agile than it is.
yeah, but me, I think I kind of agree with you, but 50-50 seems more fair because I feel like I know he's AI intelligence, but I feel like Jason could definitely beat him in certain situations. Like, I feel like if like the Singularity could definitely be janky at times.
It was outsmarted though. It was outsmarted by Gabriel though in its own lore, and it nearly.
Yeah, I know, right? So I feel like if
like
Jason can somehow muster up like the IQ, I feel like it could definitely be a 50-50
and I mean,
fight.
Literally, Gabriel set Singularity on fire, and it was damaging him from his perfect body. And what does Jason do in his Mori? He literally burns the survivor alive. So Jason could try setting up a trap. I mean, Jason isn't stupid either. He does plan.
Yeah.
I feel like he could try tricking Hux. I mean, if Gabriel could, I do feel like Jason could. And he could pour gasoline and light it on fire with Singularity, which could deal damage enough for Jason to kill it. However, Singularity could also avoid this and potentially kill him. I agree with you, it could go 50-50.
Yeah. Now the Xenomorph? I don't know. That's a...
I would say it's close, but Jason would lose.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that one.
Due to the fact, mainly in large part, because the Xenomorph is also smart and has been stated to be a perfect killing machine. Also due to the fact that if Jason tried hurting or killing the Xenomorph, he would have to try and avoid the acid blood that it has. Jason would not know, in my opinion, that the Xenomorph has acid blood, so I feel like he could go in and try killing the Xenomorph. However, I feel like he would cut the Xenomorph and get acid on himself, burning him. Even with Jason's regenerative capabilities it has, I feel like it isn't enough to resist the acid blood that the Xenomorph has. And I feel like that this would be enough to weaken Jason, enough for the Xenomorph to kill him.
And the agility is very... The Xenomorph has a lot of agility, and I feel like Jason would struggle with that a lot.
Yeah.
This holiday season comes a toy you'll simply die for. Your new best friend is back with his signature stripes and lifelike eyes. This good guy is always ready for some fun. You'll want to keep an eye on him. You never know what trouble he'll get into next. If you lose track of him, don't fret. He'll always find his way back to you. Bring home your friend till the end. 'Cause if you don't...
You're dead. You hear me? Dead.
Disassembly of parts, body and otherwise, may be required. Good Guys is not responsible for maiming, dismemberment, amputation, laceration, strangulation, bodily harm, or death of any kind. Adult supervision recommended.
Chucky is next, and I mean, Chucky without prep. Chucky without prep gets stomped. Possibly with prep, it could be a good fight, but even then, that's.
He just gets stomped, bro. He just gets stomped.
I mean, Chucky. I know people say Chucky is as strong as a normal human being, but it's a doll and very fragile. Jason would think of Chucky as no more than a toy, and if Chucky tried attacking him or hurting him, Jason would just get mad and chuck him at a tree, in which Chucky would shatter.
And this is a very very early version of Chucky. I feel like, I mean, he kills people in natural ways too, right? Like with knives and stuff like that. So I feel like Jason has been known to handle that kind of punishment. So I feel like he would just kill Chucky.
Yeah.
Easily.
The Unknown. As we've stated before, Jason has faced the Unknown and did defeat it, but he didn't kill the Unknown, of course, because the Unknown
The entity.
survived. Yeah. I feel like it would be a good fight, of course, but Jason would win. Eventually, I mean, Jason, it was extreme difficulty that Jason won, but in the end, he did manage to defeat him.
The only reason that we know, the only reason that we're putting the Unknown on that tier is because we know, but if we didn't know, I feel like
It would be
the
a 50-50.
Unknown would be 50-50.
Yeah, but just because it features the Unknown literally fighting with Jason and Jason defeated it, that's the only reason we put him here. Otherwise, it would be 50-50, and yeah.
For in dark places such as this, one must keep themselves entertained.
Vecna would just simply reduce Jason to a skeleton, and he couldn't do anything about it.
Yeah. It would be so unbelievably unfair. And we know in the realm, the entity, extremely nerfs him. Extremely nerfs him bad, so...
Again, much like how Freddy, Pinhead, and all the other powerful ones are, the entity had to put that mark of negation on Vecna. And Vecna, pre-realm, was essentially... he was godlike. And Jason, he is a supernatural... he's a sort of supernatural being. But in the end, he's most definitely killable, as we've seen before. So yeah, Jason would just get reduced to a pile of bones in seconds by Vecna.
Do you think Jason would put up a good fight against Dracula?
This version of Dracula, no. Other versions of Dracula, I do feel like he could handle, but since this version of Dracula is from Castlevania, and This version of Dracula is capable of just resurrecting himself if he were to die. He needs more like specific weapons, like holy weapons and stuff. And since Jason doesn't have access to those, unlike others up here, Dracula would probably set Jason on fire and kill him. Again, Dracula is a very powerful being himself, capable of shape-shifting and many other supernatural abilities. So yeah, I don't feel like Jason would stand too much, in my opinion, against Dracula.
Yeah, I mean, I could potentially see, like, maybe putting it and Jason puts up a good fight, but Stomp, I'm okay with Stomp too, so.
Even if she got the jump on Jason and used Snug to attack Jason, Jason would just toss Snug away and then go after her. And despite Portia being a big woman herself, she's still just a regular human being, and despite her efforts, she would still die. I mean, again, she's still just a regular human being, so yeah.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Can Kaneki, I mean...
He fought Jason before.
Yeah.
He fought Jason and killed him. But obviously it's not that version of Jason what we're talking about here. This is Jason Voorhees we're talking about here. Could Ken Kaneki kill him? I feel like it would be close, but I feel like Ken Kaneki would kill him. As we've seen in that fight with Jason, not Voorhees, but Jason in Tokyo Ghoul was also a pretty powerful ghoul, but Ken Kaneki managed to pretty easily defeat him. And knowing how powerful ghouls are in that anime, Ken Kaneki has better agility, potentially even better strength too, considering how he's able to punch and attack Jason with ease, and it takes a lot of strength to do that. Also, due to Ken Kaneki's unique regeneration abilities, would make it very difficult for Jason to kill Ken. It would be a good fight though. However, in the end, I could see Ken Kaneki pancaking Jason Voorhees into the ground and killing him.
Yeah. Springtrap? I don't know. I feel like Jason would beat Springtrap. Like, it would be a good fight, but I feel like in the end, Jason would beat Springtrap.
You think so? I feel like it could also be a 50-50. Mainly in large part due to the fact that William Afton, he's also pretty smart, and Springtrap, he's also got some supernatural abilities too. Jason, like, again, it depends on what side you're on and what debates you want to make for both sides. Both are pretty strong. Jason has better strength feats in my opinion. However, Springtrap has, in my opinion, better durability due to its spring-lock suit armor. So I definitely feel like that could also help him. It really depends on what arguments you want to make for him.
I really think that I really think it should be Springtrap put up a good fight, but Jason would win because I feel like Jason's strength would just like break through any spring lock suit that he pleases. I feel like,
you know what,
there's just no chance that Springtrap would handle
I'll do this. I'll put him in the top of a good fight, but Jason wins. Again, Jason fought the Unknown. The Unknown could probably beat Springtrap, but again, it really depends, honestly, on what debates you want to make on it. It's close, but in your opinion, I guess I should say Sharp Left, that Springtrap would lose because Jason has better feats of strength.
ผู้มีใจกระหายหาความยิ่งใหญ่ที่ข้อเสนอได้รับการสนองแต่พรนั้นกลับคือคำสาป ร่ำลือกันว่าเสียงของเธอยังคงอยู่ ร้องเพลงในยามราตรีหิวโหยชั่วกันละอวสานได้ยินกันหรือไม่
The Krause, as we know in her lore, drank this type of potion, so she does get this as part of as her power. In that, not so it's pre-entity zone, but she still has this power where at night she becomes a bloodthirsty type of flying Krause. Could Jason kill it? I don't know. From what we've seen of her in her lore, she does attack people and manage to kill them off. We don't really know too much about how powerful the Krause is. She is able to puncture through people with her veins and stuff, and kill them and blow up their heads and stuff. That has to warrant some level of good strength. However, at the end of the day, it's not stated how durable or if Krause is immortal or not. I tend to say the Krause is not immortal because I definitely feel like a good blow to the head could kill her, even in her, flying head form. But I'd say it would be a good fight, but Jason wins. I'll put it right under the unknown.
Yeah, I mean, you could do that, or you could put it in 50-50, or Jason wins. I mean, I don't know too much about the Krause, so...
Yeah.
I repeat, this is a code red. Does anybody come?
Hello, Dustin. No matter where you run or who you save, all roads lead back to me.
Vecna, I don't really see, so as you know, the Stranger Things series, I could say 50-50 where it's close but Jason loses. Vecna, as we know, does have telekinetic abilities. He's able to invade people's minds and stuff from what I've seen. I didn't really watch the Stranger Things seasons too much, so maybe you could help me out with this one, Sharp Laugh, but from what I know is he's able to enter people's minds and kill them by using their deepest, darkest emotions against them. So yeah, he has pretty strong abilities there.
Yeah, I feel like Jason's very, I feel like he could use Jason's mother against him. I definitely feel like Jason would put up a good fight, but I think in the end...
I mean, the only reason it's not 50-50, in my opinion, and it's not Jason loses but it's close, is the fact that the Stranger Things kids were able to kill him off 2 times, I think. They defeated him. And Jason has handled a bunch of counselors before. So, I definitely feel like it would be a 50-50. It really depends on what you want to think about it. Jason has resisted Freddy before in his dream world. I know Freddy in that series again was just fucking around with Jason and not really trying too much in the dream world. But again, Jason has resisted that, and Nicotaro Jason, or this version of Jason, could also show that same type of resilience. But it really depends on what statements you want to make for it. But yeah, 50-50 for Vecna just seems right, in my opinion.
I mean, I'm not gonna really argue with the 50-50, but I feel like, I know you were saying that a bunch of kids beat him, but I just feel like more, if it was a 1v1 situation, I just feel like Vecna has the upper hand. But if you want to go 50-50, we can go 50-50.
You want to say it's close but Jason loses?
Yeah, we'll put him at low. Yeah, we'll put him there.
Yeah, that seems fair enough.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that ends the tier list. I honestly feel like this is a pretty good tier list. But ultimately, as we see here, Jason would end up killing or beating most of the Dead by Daylight roster here. Again, Jason doesn't handle too well against beings who are quicker and smarter than him. and also just beings that are straight up more powerful than he is. The top 5 killers that could easily beat him are Vecna, Freddy, Pinhead, Dracula, and Sadako. So yeah, those are our top 5, the 50-50s, Michael, Demogorgon, Knight, and Singularity. Everyone else, I feel like are really good placements here. But that really wraps up today's episode for ranking which Dead by Daylight killers could go up against Jason Voorhees. So yeah, ultimately though, I feel like Jason would clear most of the killers though.
Yeah, I mean, most of the top people are DLCs, which are from other games, and they have a lot of supernatural powers, so.
Yeah. But ultimately, guys, I feel like that's going to wrap it up for today's episode. If you want to see another video in the future doing something just like this with my friend Sharplath, then we can go ahead and get it, because I like doing this because this is actually really fun to do. I want to thank Sharplath for joining me in today's episode and helping me rank which Dead by Daylight killers could go up against Jason. And yeah, watch out on May 16th when the new Jason DLC drops for live servers on Dead by Daylight. But that's it for me today, and I hope to see you all guys next time. Goodbye.